Parents of Reddit, what's the worst thing you've found your spawn doing? When my 16-year-old son was 4, I found him in the garage, cleaning up oil that he dumped all over the garage floor with our new kitten. I will never forget the heck of this mess. Both of them, covered in oil. The floor covered in oil. Heck. Walked out into my back garden to find my nephews having a dog crap fight. They found a bucket I put my dog's crap in and used it as ammunition. I mostly raised my little brother, so he sorta counts as my spawn in a weird way. When he was about 5, I walked into his bedroom to find him sitting in the middle of a circle of his old stuffed animals. All of them were face down on the ground, and he was just sitting. "Brother, what are you doing? They all died." "Why did they all die?" He turns around, looks me dead in the eye, and says, "I invited them to have tea. But it wasn't tea, it was poison. Wanna play?" I was terrified of him for the following week. The day before yesterday, my twins were usually quiet for more than 2 minutes, so I went to check and see what they were doing. Finger painting on their walls. And by finger painting I mean there were 4 fists fully loaded with crap going to town repainting their bedroom a most horrible shade of brown. Not a parent, but I discovered that my younger brother is possibly the laziest child I have ever met, and at the age of 5 would rather take a pee in the corner of his room than walk 5 steps to the bathroom. My brother is 17 and would rather walk 3 steps to the bathroom and pee on the shower mat, not in the shower, sink or bath, than walk 4 steps to the toilet. My son isn't old enough to do anything naughty yet, 3 months 1 week, but he did puke in my mouth yesterday when I went to kiss him on the cheek. He turned his head and blew right all over my mouth. This reminds me of something I heard recently. If you ever feel like your parents don't love you, just remember this: you puked on them, and they still kept you. Not a parent, but when I was 9 and playing on Gaia Online, my mom caught me giving cyber BJs to older men for gold. Probably the worst thing my mom has ever caught me doing. Wife came around the corner of the house. My son had been playing with the garden hose out front. She had left one of the windows to the van open. She opens the door and there is a tidal wave. Apparently a Dodge Grand Caravan is watertight from the inside. My brother's son was found shoving things up his bum in school once. This was in 4th grade. He didn't really want to go back to school after that. But pennies. When my brother was about 3 years old, my mom heard him laughing and saying ding dong. Ding dong, kind of like a grandfather clock does on the hour or whatever. Anyway, she checks to see what he is up to. She finds him with his arm out the window, holding one of our cats by the tail, swinging the poor thing back and forth like a pendulum. He's much nicer to animals now. Don't worry, Reddit. This is the reason why I don't think parents should have small animals as pets when you have kids up to the age of 10. It's not the kids' fault cause they are too young to understand. I mean, I used to harass my cat, nothing terrible, and when I look back I feel awful, but I didn't get what I was doing to a living creature. Get a big family dog like a golden retriever. Best worst to date. Woke up. Husband had gone to work super early, so the dog hadn't been taken out for his morning poop. He looks fit to burst, so I dash to go pee myself real quick and grab some shoes. Come out, my kiddo, 11 months, runs by, streaked with something. The frick is that smell? The dog looks guilty. Oh good, he shat. Whatever, he was overdue. Can't be pee. I'll just clean it up. I grab a towel and come around the couch, expecting a turd. Instead, I find that my child has taken the still warm turd and used it like a crayon on the carpet. My carpet is now a crap masterpiece. Does not express my immediate reaction. Kid is running around, smeared in dog crap, shrieking, happy and giggly. Ended up giving her a bath and scrubbing the carpet. She didn't get ill, thank God. Kids are like magic. They're a million times better than the internet at desensitization. The last time my kids bathed together, they were 3ish and I had left them alone for a minute. When I came back in, my son had my daughter on her stomach, half submerged, trying to convince her that if she could just fart, he could catch the bubbles in his mouth. It's not incest strictly speaking, so I'll upvote anyway for your son's hilarious thought process. Niece and nephew, at the ripe old age of 6 and 4, decided they wanted a water slide. So, they took towels and plugged the bathtub and sink, and opened the bathroom door. The water overflowed and started flowing down the stairs. This was to be the water slide. I'm glad I woke up before he threw his sister down the stairs to a watery grave. It was my stepdaughter at the time. I walked into the kitchen to see her sticking a metal fork in the plugged-in toaster to get her toast. I've done this. Once we had a great party. After said party was over, I found out that all of the 13-year-old cousins have took their food to the toilet and used the toilet seat as a table, sitting around it on short stools eating their dinner. Until this day I gave no idea which one of them came up with that. I read that as eating their stools, as in poop. WTF brain. My mom retells this story a fair amount. I was between 1-2 and my older brother was around 4. I was lying on my back on the floor in the living room, and he was playing near me. My mom was in the kitchen and she looked at us to check up on us. All was well, but she said my brother had this super devious look on his face and was clearly waiting for her to stop looking. So she goes back to the kitchen and comes back a minute later, and my brother was standing on me like I was a surfboard. I am not a parent, but my story of me at age 3, I think, gets retold quite often at family reunions. I was a very bad sleeper, but for some reason I was very quiet that day. Eventually my mother came in to check on me and found a disaster zone. I had found a can of Axe body spray and nearly emptied it. After I had gotten bored with that, I decided to take a tub of Vaseline and spread it freaking everywhere. The entire room was like a biological disaster zone. Dangerous to walk in due to the overpowering smell and Vaseline patches that qualified as slipping hazards. So no incest, but yet. Saw my neighbor's kid eat sandy boogers and drinking puddle water while the parents were just sitting 20 feet away unaware. Disgusting. Well, he'll probably have a great immune system unlike the kids who live antibacterial lives. One day my roommate's 2-year-old had to pee, but he couldn't make it to the bathroom, so they let him pee in the front yard. After that, he took every opportunity he could get to pee in the front yard. We put up a gate so he couldn't go out at will, and he started peeing through the gate. One time I stood in front of the door so he couldn't get out, and he peed on me. I'm so grateful that he grew out of that phase quickly. I once found my 14-year-old son and 13-year-old daughter dry humping each other before they went to bed one night. I slyly opened the door and stared at them for 10 seconds until they realized, then turned and walked away without saying a word about it. They have never slept in the same bed since. Well, this really isn't bad. More hilarious than anything. When my son was around 2, he had just gotten out of the bath and was running around the house naked. He had found a dime and goes, "Hey, mom, where did the dime go?" Then he turns around with his butt cheeks clenched tight around the dime, laughing. That gave a whole new meaning to the term coin slot. Not my kids, but my much younger brothers. I went to the bathroom and the door was slightly ajar, but I could hear someone inside. When I opened the door, my 5-year-old brother was pooping while my 3-year-old brother was yanking on his dong, and they were both laughing hysterically. When I told my mom, she said, "Yeah, kids are weird. I think there is something wrong with them." My son, 3, was sticking his hands in his diaper and just feeling the poo between his fingers. I told him to stop, and he said, "Just let me tell you, this feels okay." About me, when I was 3 and my cousin was 5, my uncle found us emptying out the entire second floor out the windows into a nice blanket of snow. Items that were thrown include my older cousin's guitar, my other older cousin's piano, bedspreads, sheets, pillows, dresser drawers, shoes, and everything else that was light enough for us to pick up and small enough to fit out of the window. We even tried to move the mattresses, but it didn't really work out. Not me, but about me. My dad claims to have walked into the backyard to find 4-year-old me holding a board with a nail in it, having beaten our pet goldfishes to a pulp on the pavement. No, I don't know why. Not a parent, but if I was my mom, I would have been really concerned for me when she walked in our backyard to find that my friend and I set up a white picket fence in the corner of the yard, hung a roll of toilet paper on it, and sat behind it together. We were 10-year-old girls. When my son was about 10, he slept with a nightlight on. I used to turn it off sometimes when he fell asleep. I went up one night to turn it off, and he had 4 Playboys outlaid on the floor beside his mattress. They were open to the centerfolds, but he had a piece of paper covering their vaginas. I assumed he was masturbating but didn't like the full spread of these cougars. Needless to say, I didn't turn the light off or embarrass him. Came home from school one day, see my niece had made artwork on the carpet with chocolate syrup in the living room and a nail polish masterpiece on her carpets in her room. I can't remember any of this, but I got caught drawing with a magic marker on the hood of our brand new car when I was 4 to make my mom and dad happy. My mom was mad. My dad didn't speak for 2 days. I also got caught putting various condiments on my dog's back when I was 3. The same dog also experienced me putting cooking oil on the floor and me laughing as it slid around. I wish I could remember either of them or had video photos. My boys went through a phase of destructiveness when they were 3-4. They are 21 months apart and earned the title Bash Brothers because it seemed that they would get into serious crap together when the rest of the house was sleeping. My husband worked night shifts and we had just moved into our brand new house. Within a week, my kids had destroyed it. One night I woke up and they had somehow sumo chopped their train table in half, jumped on it, and spread Vaseline and Desitin everywhere, their room and their bodies. The next night they crept out and dumped fish medication for itch, that green dye stuff, all over the carpet, crushed eggs on the walls, spread knives around the house, dumped spices, food products, and fish aquarium products everywhere. I called my husband home that night because I was on the verge of killing both boys. A few nights later, my son went running through the hallway like a crazed psychopath, with his pants around his ankles, and went crashing into the wall, busting a hole into it. The next night, they broke the screen open on one of their windows in their room and attempted to break out. I just happened to come in and check on them. I wonder why, and caught them in the act. We ended up installing an alarm system not to ward off criminals but to let me know if my boys tried to break out again. Jesus. There is more, but I have mentally blocked it. 2 weeks of terror. Then the boys went back to normal. What the serious frick? Not a parent, but I used to shove my finger up my butt when I was 10. I do it so casually as well, like when I was doing homework for example. I also wouldn't wash my hands afterward because I liked the smell. Turned my back to take something out of the oven when I heard a pop, then a scream, then smelled smoke. I turned around and my daughter had stuck a key into the electrical outlet. I asked her what on earth possessed her to do that and she said just to see what would happen. The kicker is she was 9 years old when she did it. When I was 4, my parents took my brand new motherfucking Hulk toy away from me. This made Toddler me angry. So, I did the only logical thing to do. I crap all over their bed and floor. I covered their entire room in the most horrible of consistency of crap. Diarrhea. Yep, I sprayed diarrhea from my butthole all over my parents' room. My brother told me the other day that when I was 3-4, I got mad at him for not letting me use the Nintendo. To show him how I was, I climbed onto our bunk bed and started peeing on his head. My little brother decided that he wanted a creek in his room when he was 4, so he started to pour a line of water from one corner to the door again and again and again. Then my mom came in and couldn't believe what she was seeing. My daughter sometimes bites her toenails and licks her feet, claiming to bathe herself like the cat does. Then she'll meow, but other times she'll bark, so I don't know what's up with that. Once when I was a toddler, my dad woke up early to find me watching In 4 Miracles and licking a stick of butter like a lollipop. Not a parent, but my younger brother was caught eating chocolate donuts when he was 2. We didn't have any chocolate donuts. I gave my father some bad grief at work once. It's one of my earliest memories. He was a supervisor for a construction remodeling company. My mom brought me by the site to have lunch with him. This place was huge and I played in the backyard. They were just finishing the build with brand new carpets and fixtures. I was pretty adventurous and found that one of the workers had left the ladder up to the 2nd story as he went to lunch. I climbed up to find a freshly teared roof. It was awesome. Wherever I walked I made footprints. Then I put my hands all over too and finally sat in the stuff. Once I was done I climbed down and was excited to see I was still making footprints. I started running all over the house. My dad finally spotted me and was instantly horrified on many levels. especially when they traced my footsteps to the ladder. So yeah, couple grand in damages and the thought of their kid on a 2-story roof just running around. My daughter's mom was cutting out shapes in construction paper and my daughter was potty training at the time, and one of the shapes resembled a toilet seat, which sparked the great idea in her head to rip off her diaper and crap all over the carpet. Oh yes, it was liquid. Quietly opened my stepson's bedroom door late at night assuming he was asleep and saw him holding his couch above his eyes while furiously masturbating. He didn't see me. I quietly closed the door immediately and am scarred for life. I've got more stories about myself than I can think of. I was found icing the TV with Crisco. I dumped shampoo into the fish tank as well. My earliest memory is me writing my name on my mom's nice new Riviera in what I thought was chalk. It was actually a rock. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.